Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining Amy and I for the Reaper Book Club's first book of the year, Mosaic by Catherine McCarthy. And if you guys aren't subscribed to Amy, her channel is linked down below. Definitely go subscribe. She plays a very awesome tarot TBR game that is always so cool to listen to. You're just so knowledgeable about the tarot.
Thanks.
I actually saw a trailer today called Tarot, and it's a horror movie. I was like, I meant to send you the trailer. I was like, oh, that's fun.
Does it have a good director or one that I would know of, or is it like an indie?
Honestly, I didn't even see the director or anything. It does kind of look like an indie a bit.
I'll have to go look. Or send it to me. Send it to me later if you think about it.
Yeah, I was like, it popped up on my news feed. Like, this is news for you, Katrina. Like, because Google must hear my your tarot or whatever, people talking tarot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is for her for sure. So next month for the Reaper Book Club, my co-host will be Lexi from Books with Lexi, and we'll be reading The Fire on Memory Lane. I was trying to pull up an image of this book. It is a sci-fi horror book novella by Felix I.D. DeMaro, and it is available on KU. I still need to get my copy in, but my Bookstagram friends really like this book, so I was very excited to make it a book club choice.
It sounds really good.
And okay, so if you guys are here in the chat, just let me know if you guys have read it, and you guys can do a little emoji. So I was just telling Amy this. They don't have a crow emoji on my thing, so I did a turkey, which is kind of embarrassing. Yeah.
Call, gobble, gobble, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. And while you guys are answering that, I'll have Amy talk about the synopsis of Mosaic.
Okay. I didn't turn off oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something, or you're just holding it up?
Oh, I was just holding it up.
Oh, okay. Is my fish tank really loud? Should I turn it off? Is it bothersome? No? Okay.
No.
So the synopsis. So we have our main character, Robin. She is hired to work on this old, dilapidated, rundown church that's kind of hidden back, and not many people look like they know about it. It's been run down, not used for a while. She's hired to replace, or not really replace, but redo the stained glass window, which is like a major feature of the church. So the book is spent with her trying to fix the window and in the process, she starts uncovering some mysteries behind the history of the church and who used to run it and what it's all about.
Yes, and I do think the cover is a good choice for this book. I feel like it definitely stuff happens in this book that correlates with the cover of it.
Yeah, I like a lot.
So for those of you who didn't read it, since this is a novella, we'll probably get into spoilers very quickly. Just a heads up if you have plans reading it or soon or something. Oh no, we had a DNF. Alicia DNF'd it. Oh.
At what point did you DNF, Alicia? Like a long ways in or short?
Yeah, let us know. What were your thoughts? I guess either overall thoughts or just going into it. Did you have any expectations or anything?
I had heard it was cosmic. And because it took place in a church, I figured it was going to have to do at some point with gods or something like that. Other than that, I didn't really have any expectations. I hadn't heard about this book before you made it your book club pick. I didn't really read the synopsis too much or anything. I've never read from this author before. So other than that, I didn't have any expectations.
Yeah, same. I think I had an expectation of like of it being like, oh, it's cosmic. I'm gonna like love it. I'm excited about it. And I saw
Yeah.
some good reviews. I think when came on my radar on Instagram. Uh, but yeah, I was. We'll get into ratings in a second. I will say hello to everybody. Hey, Alicia. Hi, Andy. I saw that trailer and thought of Amy. Yes, I was like, Amy.
I'm gonna have to see it.
I love watching your tarot TBRs. They're so
Thanks.
interesting. They really are. It's like almost like a deep dive kind of into just, or like not even a deep dive, but like maybe a flash of a deep dive of like your, I don't know, like personality stuff. Like I feel like I'm learning something when I watch it. I'm like,
Good. I'm glad.
we got a turkey or crow. We got Lauren, DNF, church. It was maybe 20% in. It could have just been that I wasn't feeling it when I picked it up. I'm a total mood reader. Yeah, I get that. I want to read it. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Okay. So if you want to read it, we will be going into spoilers very quickly. Hey, cool gamer. Hi, Christian. I did finish, but would not rate it very high. Good. Now, I read the first few pages through Everand on my phone, and I just couldn't keep up with that. Wish they could connect to my Kindle. Then I saw Kitty's review. Yeah, I wish Everand would connect to Kindle too.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot easier because sometimes reading on your phone, it's like you're kind of over it. That's why I like that it's not super long.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just go ahead and get into the ratings of it. If you did read it, what were you guys' ratings? I think I'm leaning towards like 3, like middle. There was stuff I liked about it, and then there's stuff that I didn't really like or I was confused by.
Yeah.
How about you, Amy?
I felt the same. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I did like quite a few things about the book, but I think it was just the execution was a bit lacking for me. It felt like it was missing certain things. So definitely wouldn't go any higher than a 3, but yeah, I was toggling between a 3 and a 3.5. I think we'll give it a 3.5 just because it's, indie author and stuff like that. But
yeah. I was very lost. Like at one point at something happens at the end, and I was just like, "What?" And I reread it like 3 times, and I was like, "Okay."
I don't know that I was ever lost. I do have questions. So once we get into spoilers, maybe this is the same thing that you were confused on. So there's like one thing that I was like, I still didn't get an answer for by the end. And I was like, I don't know what that role was, but I loved the setting of the church. I think that was probably my favorite thing about the book. And I thought the descriptions were really good of the church and the underground crypt and the surrounding area. I thought it had a lot of potential for some like really like weird or spooky scenes. Unfortunately, I didn't really feel that way throughout the book. I didn't feel like any tension or sense of dread or anything for the character. But I think that was partially because our character didn't really express that she was feeling like she was in a tense situation, like especially with her health and stuff like that. It was very like, oh, whatever. So I didn't really feel a lot of tension for her. And for this kind of story, I kind of wanted that. And because it started bringing in those like mysterious elements about the past and what was going on with this church and why it was abandoned and all of that. I think there was a little bit more that I wanted to learn about that. But I did really love the setting. I didn't mind our main character. She wasn't my favorite, but I didn't mind her. And I thought the writing was okay. Again, like I feel like I wish the author would have focused on certain things other than like her history with her parents and all of that kind of stuff. There were things that I think were focused on more that I didn't really enjoy. But for the most part, I really liked the story itself. I liked how things played out. I liked the setup and everything, but yeah, again, it was just the execution that just didn't work 100% for me. But at no point did I want a DNF. At no point was I like hating it.
Yeah.
So I still gave it a 3.5 because I thought it was pretty decent. I'll read more from the author.
Yeah, I felt the same too. I thought the atmosphere was there, but it wasn't like we were really in it.
Yeah.
I was like, there's like this cool gothic overgrown graveyard, this dilapidated old ass church. Like, and I think they say the church is like over 800 years old, that actual foundation and stuff, but it's only been abandoned like for 25 years. And I was like, oh, dang, like that's crazy. It's in the middle of the woods. There's this crow constantly cawing at her.
Yeah.
So with Robin to something, this is the part where I was like, okay, stay with me 1 second. So like, I feel like the whole time with Robin, which we can talk about her later. Actually, we'll talk about her now and then get into so Robin, the whole right off the bat with Robin, I think it's on the first page. She's like, I have like a bad feeling. Like she's constantly having like this bad feeling and she's pushing it away and ignoring it. Mm-hmm. And I think right off the bat, I wrote, let me find my note, but I wrote something about like women's intuition. Mm-hmm. And I got like all deep about it because I've had like talks about women intuition and stuff with people, with other women who work with women in like healthcare or like any other thing that is just with women. Yeah. And one of the conversations I've had with that person was like the women constantly being told to ignore that. Like you're constantly like brought up to like, oh, I don't have a good feeling about this. And they're like, you're having a feeling, like you need to ignore that. So like, that's what I got from Robin. I was like, wow, she like, you kind of already knew, like she came from something like oppressive.
Yeah.
Like something happened to her because she's already ignoring this. Yeah. So it's established right off the bat, women's intuition, and I know it was being used as foreshadowing for the book, but like for the sake of it, me going in, I was like, oh, this is like a cosmic thing. And then I was like, what if a woman's intuition is like the universe, like pushing you to like do one thing, like for like the flow of the universe or something. And for some reason, I don't know why I thought that this book would come out. Like that's what's going to happen. Like the page would. Like looking through a woman's intuition, like through a cosmic lens, like it's something outside of your body, like telling you what's right and what's wrong and stuff. Or, I don't know.
Well, I feel like it hinted at that even throughout the book because like she would keep like bringing up these sentences that she found in the books, or I can't even remember where she saw them. But there was like one in particular where like she's like this, I think it was from the previous priest, his book, where he's saying like this presence or this deity that ends up being encountered. I hope that's not spoilery. But like like while you're in this building, that you're being influenced by it, that you can smell things and hear things and act a certain way because of its influence. So that would go along with like being deterred from your own intuition or something.
Because the only thing she was kind of using that intuition for was putting together the mosaic.
Yeah.
In
everything else. everything else she ignored. Her health, all
Totally
of the
ignored
stuff
it.
that was going on, like she just ignored all of it.
I don't know if I wrote it down. Oh crap. It was a quote. It was like, I literally worked for 6 hours straight off of pure intuition on where to put the pieces.
Yeah.
And I was like, why does she have intuition about this, but like is ignoring everything else?
Well, yeah, it was so frustrating.
It was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, at first I was like, we're starting off strong. Like we got a woman's intuition being ignored, you know. And then her like religious trauma stuff, I think is like what there's a whole page, almost a whole page at the very beginning, which is like her about her parents. And I was like, okay, that's done with. And it wasn't done with. It was like we kept going back to her father and her mother and like all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think we really needed that.
I don't think so either. I get why some of that was introduced and why we got some of her history, because that kind of gave us out for her ignoring certain things, because she was, you know, taught to act a certain way and do certain things and, you know, not, you know, listen to her intuition and do certain things. But at a certain point, I was like, okay, why does this keep being brought up? Is it going to wrap up by the end? Like, is there some important thing that all of this talk about her past trauma with her father specifically, that this is going to like come up at the end and be resolved? And that didn't really happen for me, even though something does happen. It didn't answer why it was concentrated on so much.
It was a lot. It was a lot. It was like all of her inner dialogue was about that, or like what, you know, she was going to tell her friend or something. Also, like I immediately was like, Robin, like, why would they be fixing this mosaic if the whole church isn't fixed yet? Like, I feel like that's the last thing you would do in a church because it could get damaged easily. And I was like, get out of there. That crow is cawing at you, okay? Like the crow knew. The crow gave up in the end too. He was just like, take the pieces. I'm sick of trying to help you. Let's see where everybody else. I gave it a 2.5 rounded down to 2. I thought it was okay. Yeah. I also love the setting. My favorite parts were the character talking about her craft and being a stained glass craftsperson as well. Yeah, and I felt like they didn't dumb anything down in this too. Like they talk about like gargoyles and they use the word grotesque, which that's what they were called. And there's some other stuff in here too. I was like, oh, that's cool that she didn't dumb it down for the reader. She's just like, oh, everybody knows what this is. Assumed everybody knows what this is. Or there is a part where she does talk about like Art Deco and Art Nouveau and like the difference of that. She explains that. And I was like, come on, you didn't have to explain that, but okay, I get it. So not the horror elements. Yeah, I will say when we talk about our favorite parts, it's the setting and like the parts where it's like when she's looking at the photos and she sees a shadow, or like she sees a shadow like in the chapel or the narthex or something. I don't know. There's a lot of terminology in this too. I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. I'm like, I'm assuming that's like an entrance or something, because she's always going through it or into the church. So I'm like, I guess it's like an entry.
Yes, the mood setting for the church is great, but the main character's POV really took away those vibes. Yes. Hi, Sarah. So we were just sharing our ratings.
I only remember because of that scene where she like drew it in the dust on the floor in the crypt. So like now every time I need to think of her name, I just like picture a robin for some reason. So
yeah, the bird.
Yeah, the bird. But I really wish the author would have done more with the church setting, because it was such a cool setting, and she did a great job at like describing what everything looked like I could picture everything great, but like I just didn't like like when she was down in the crypt and just like doing her work and stuff, like she could have thrown in some weird things going on or some spooky vibes, and it would have been so much more engaging, I think.
Yeah, I think the mystery aspect was there, but like for scary stuff with the place and the setting and
Yeah.
atmosphere just wasn't used quite as well. Yeah, I felt like parts of Robin's research, but I felt her flashbacks, mentions of Dad, let's say, really felt clunky to the narrative. Yes. I don't think the novel was developed enough to support its ending. It needed to be much longer in what it was trying to do. Yeah. And yeah, definitely more creepy church. So I think we kind of already talked about this, like our favorite parts. Was there like something that was like, I don't know, like really cool or like stuck out? I would say probably the ending when the climax happens.
Yeah, I loved the descriptions of I can't remember his name, not Nyarlathotep something. I don't know the name.
The Lovecraftian name.
Yeah, the Lovecraftian name. And I haven't read that story. So I wish I would have thought about it before this discussion to read the story. I don't know if you have the one that's mentioned.
I think I have read that story. I've read a lot of Lovecraft, but I don't remember a ton. I remember like Call of Cthulhu and Cult of Cthulhu, and like that's why they're my favorites, I think. But I'm like, I remember reading that.
I love the descriptions of that. I thought that was pretty creepy. And like anytime she was working with like the glass shards and putting the stained glass window together, I really enjoyed that too.
There's like a part where, okay, yeah, we're in major spoiler territory here. I really like the part where they start to put it together and there's other people there to do the replication of the other parts, and there's like a really long tongue or something. Oh, yeah. And they're like, what the hell is this? This isn't a church.
Yeah. All of the characters were like looking out the window and being like, that's horrifying. Like, why would they?
That's not right.
How is this a place of worship to have that in your window?
Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep. Yeah, when we got to that name, I was like, that does sound familiar.
I think she said the pronunciation, like there was an emphasis on the Arla, so it would be like Nyarlathotep or something like that. The many-faced god, an agent of chaos, one who wanders the earth in search of followers.
Yeah, there was a part too in this where she's connecting the people in the town. She's like, oh, the names to the people in the town. And she's like, that's funny. I wonder if like that's their child or their grandchild, because that's from like the early 1900s. And that's when I was like, okay, I know what's going on here kind of moment. And that's where I think it kind of goes into like a bit of folk horror too. It felt like cosmic folk horror. I think it's more cosmic, but it has like folk elements in it because of like the small town and like I don't know. I guess it's been going on for 800 years. So
yeah.
Minus 20 years. Yeah, those are some of my favorite parts, and like the mystery aspect and stuff kept me going. I was like, okay, what are we going to find out now?
Yeah. And I was excited to get to the end and see how everything unraveled, because throughout, like the mentions of a god, and then like once she like uncovered the stuff in the crypt, I had a feeling that we would eventually, like, she would put it together and we would eventually get to like see this creature maybe, or you know, somehow. So that was that kept me going throughout.
So I would say like half of the ending is one of my favorite parts too. Like with it was the sun hitting the glass, and like when it fell on Hardy G's
Hargreaves.
Hargreaves, and his face just started to like boil and stuff. I was like, oh man, I love this. I was like,
Yeah,
that's
I
great.
like the ending a lot.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about my least favorite part of the ending. Oh wait, here, before we get into that, go back to the chat. Even with DNFing, I think the crow is my favorite character. Yeah, the crow was like warning her until like he just couldn't. He gave up and was like, you know what? I have the two eye pieces
He's
in
like,
my
here,
nest.
finish it.
Yeah,
Finish
and
it,
she's
done.
having like a full-on conversation with the crow, and the crow's just like, yeah, here you go. I guess it's fine. I'm trying to warn you, but it's okay.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I gave it 2.5. The atmosphere was cool, and I liked the setting, but a lot of the mosaic detail, I know it's the title, but I glazed over those parts, and the ending felt like it was just getting started. Yeah. Yeah, it was like a very big ending.
Yeah.
Like the detail on how she was putting the glass together, which I still cannot fathom how someone could create an image and imagine with nearly nothing to go off. Yeah. Like it's a puzzle. I think she kept describing it as a puzzle.
Yeah.
Of putting it together, like the different colors that go together and stuff. And the way she was doing it, she was like melting them, I think.
Yeah.
Melting the glass. It sounded intense, and it sounded like it would take much longer than a week.
And I think she did like with certain sections, like when she was like picking colors and stuff for like the people's outfits and stuff, she was going off of intuition. But again, that's like sometimes she has intuition for things that she uses and sometimes she doesn't.
Yeah. Like something was telling her, I guess, like that.
Yeah.
The cosmic force is telling her how to put it together and telling her to ignore actual intuition.
Yeah.
The tongue detail made me think of Krampus. Yes. Yeah, and Krampus in a church, I don't know. I've never seen it. Haven't been to too many churches, but I've never seen that. I thought her touching the glass pieces for the tongue and then salivating was a nice touch. Yeah.
I kept getting confused because I'm like, she keeps like touching the glass or doing things and like she's always referencing like her mouth salivating or like hunger or like just talking about that. I'm like, while she's doing it, is it this making her hungry or something? Because she was constantly salivating at stuff.
It was making her like want to feed her or something. Yeah, I liked that too, Andy, and how she could taste like the ocean or whatever it was. Yeah, the ocean part. That was cool.
Yeah.
I wanted more lore and more cosmic elements at the end too. Yeah. Yeah, my favorite part is just that dude boiling up. I was like, yes, and then everybody else just gets around him. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. That's why I like cosmic horror, I think. I'm just like, yes. Here we go. Okay, so least favorite parts. I think we kind of talked about it too, is like the parents, like all the parent backdrop, which comes in at the end.
Oh yeah.
That's the part I was very confused about. I was like, I don't understand.
That's the part I was confused on too. I'm like, okay, so did he have connections to the people? Is that why he was brought in, or was he brought in by Hargreaves just because Hargreaves knew that he was her father, and like because he was in like that, used to be in that position before the ending of being like the vessel or the person who brings in the people or whatever for whatever its name is. Like, is that why he came in? And then like he dies so quickly. As soon as he comes in, he's out of the picture. So like we never get any answers like, oh, I'm just gonna bring her father in. Why?
I have no idea why that happened.
Like I was just so confused by that. Like I was like, okay, that makes sense that he's here, but then they kill him off so fast and give us nothing about like why he's actually there.
Maybe they were giving Robin something like she wanted, or like they thought she wanted, or like it read like the cosmic being read her like that, like here, and was like, okay, let me bring him in and make him think he's like important, and then cut him down when
Maybe.
he's like at his height or whatever. And then she runs, and I'm like, girl, finally you're running, and she goes back. I was like, don't do it. Don't. She went right back. I don't know. Yeah. That was the part I was like, huh? I was waiting for them to either be a sacrifice, or I think he did end up being a sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like, it wasn't like, we are sacrificing you for blah, 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 but he did end up dying. So I guess he was a sacrifice of some sort. But wait, was he one of the ones who got absorbed into Hargreaves, or did he actually die? I can't remember.
I think he did get absorbed.
Okay.
I think. Did the dad recommend her? There was a mention of the dad reading suspicious scripts. Maybe he was already part of the cult.
And that's what I was thinking, but like it's mentioned so fast. Like there's no answers. You're left with maybe it was this, maybe it was this.
But if he was part of the cult and they were kind of like on a hiatus for a really long time, why would he be so, I don't know, like still like a zealot? I don't, if he wasn't even like, maybe he's doing other cosmic church things. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he was the one that recommended her. I don't remember how she came across it, but I don't remember that.
I'm trying to think of I was thinking about in everything in H.P. Lovecraft takes place in the same place, like Mesotonic university, medical school, and stuff like that. And I was like, this one, I was like, that would be cool if it was like actually in Massachusetts or something, like that's where it all takes place. This book was very, very British.
Yeah, I didn't know that when I started reading it. And then all of a sudden she was talking about boots and cars and like things. I was like, oh, okay, this is English.
There is almost all of my notes are like, what is this? And like they British people apparently eat jam cake. It's not like cake, but it's cake with jam in it. I don't know, because there's like a description or a metaphor or something of like her cutting into the cake and it was bleeding, but it was just the jam. And I was like, why would there be jam in a cake? Like, what the Americans trying to figure it out. I figured he was connected to them already, but who knows? Yeah, I think he was connected. And he was absorbed. Yeah.
Maybe.
They're always, cosmic cults pull strings, they make stuff happen. Okay, so where are those? I think I got all of like our regular questions out, but I thought this would be a fun question just to ask, like, as the group. Has anyone been, I totally missed, to a really old building, and did it feel different? Like, have you been somewhere like super old, like an old church or something? When I was in Paris, like the Notre Dame, like, I don't know, the energy there just feels different. You're like, definitely a different smell.
Oh gosh, I can imagine. I don't think I've been anywhere super, super old. I've not spent much time outside of California or the West Coast. And, the buildings here, they can date back kind of far, but not like hundreds and thousands of
Yeah.
years or anything. I think like the oldest buildings I've probably been in were like some of the old abandoned batteries and stuff around like San Francisco when I lived in the Bay Area. Um, and I would say they have a different energy to them, but I would always like go walking around with my friends like at midnight around there. So they're always going to be like more spooky and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's probably it.
There's this church in Stafford where I grew up, and it's right off of Route 1, and it used to be a Civil War hospital, like during the Civil War. So it's like one of the oldest things around where I grew up, and we would walk around the graveyard there at night, or we think we were going to the movies, and we would cross like a super dangerous intersection and go to this church and walk around and drink like what were those sodas called? It was like the Jones sodas,
Oh yeah.
like the colored sodas.
Mhm.
And one night me and my friend, we were in the front of the church on a bench, and then my other friends were still like on the other side of the church walking. And the way this church is set up, there's like a really steep driveway or like to get into it, and it's really narrow, and it goes right out onto Route 1. Like nobody's walking around at night except for us. These people come around the corner from where my friends are, and they are dressed like they're from the 70s. Like,
Oh gosh.
like they were in a 70s party or something. Bell bottoms, wavy hair. Like I think one had like the sweatbands and like track shorts. And I was like, they were like, hey. And we were like, hey. And we're like, what the fuck is this? A costume party? And they literally just walked all the way down and like disappeared into traffic. And we were like, what the fuck was that?
Oh my gosh.
Friends came around the corner and we were like, did you guys see those people that were dressed like they were from the 70s? And they were like, what are you talking about?
Were they ghosts?
And they were just really nice, cool 70s ghost, I guess, in a Civil War hospital, like church setting. I was like, what is going on? That's like the most random ghost you'll ever see.
Weird.
Yeah, cathedrals, very awe-inspiring. Yeah, when I was in Europe, we went to Trier, which is like a really old Roman place in Germany, and like a Roman ruins. And like that was pretty weird to be in, like, and you're up there and you're in these Roman ruins and you're like, whoa. And then you look across the street and there's like an H&M. And I think I was like, I would like to go to that H&M, please.
That's gotta be so weird to have like all this like ancient architecture and then have something so modern right next to it.
Yeah, I was like, are we done with the ruins now? Can we go shopping? I have been to really old buildings and they did feel different. You can feel when a place has history. Yeah, and there is a distinct smell. I'm not saying it's bad, but like some of the buildings I work in are from like turn of the century or before. And I worked at one on Saturday and I walked in and I was like, oh, the old smell. It's like old museum smell is there. Edinburgh Castle is very cool and kind of creepy. Ooh, I haven't been to that one. I've been to a bunch of castles in Germany. It was like a thing. It was like, oh, you're not doing anything today? We're going to go to a castle. It was like, cool. I went to some old churches in Venice, but it felt very touristy with everyone walking around. The detail and architecture is amazing. Yeah, you got to break in at night. That's when you got to go. Just kidding.
That's a good time to go.
Yeah, nothing more scary than tourists. Yeah. Yeah, all I could feel is the 90-degree temperature in my body heat. Ugh. Okay, I have one last fun question. If anybody can answer me.
What is mollycoddle?
Mollycoddle. I don't think there's any British people here right now because they would be asleep. But I was like, what is mollycoddle?
I don't even remember that word coming up. When did that happen? What was it in reference to?
I don't remember. I should have kept my notes in. I think it was around, like, talking about like the workers.
I guess that makes sense. I just looked up the meaning on Goodreads, and I guess like because I know what coddle means, like to coddle somebody, but I guess like Molly coddle is just like to do it more so. I guess.
Oh.
It says to treat someone in an indulgent or overprotective way, like to baby someone. Yeah, like to coddle somebody. I've never heard of Molly coddle though. Just coddle.
Like just coddling, yeah. Or paracetamols for aspirin, called paracetamols.
Yeah, paracetamols.
Paracetamols.
I don't know if we have those or I definitely don't think we call them those in the States, do we?
No, I was like, what?
Oh yeah, that's acetaminophen. Yeah, we don't call them that here. We
Those
just say Tylenol.
Yeah, I was like, huh? And
maybe
like
that's a brand.
The only thing I usually pick up in books, like Darcy Coates books or something, is like torch. Like they used a torch instead of a flashlight or something like that. I never pick up like more than one, but I feel like this book was like very, very British.
Were they referring to flashlights when they were saying torch in this book?
Uh-huh.
Because I was thinking of literal like fire torches.
They just have like a torch like in Frankenstein.
That's so funny. I had no idea they were flashlights. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, they're just going by fire.
It's like, that is really atmospheric. That is like a commitment to the atmosphere.
Oh gosh.
And I think that is it. I think there was a lot of red flags at the beginning, where it was set up like, okay, these people are in on something. But yeah, I enjoyed it. But again, I think there's other things. It would be cool to see if this author does like a longer book, because this was her second book, and her first one is also a novella, Immortelle. I had to say it British, which I saw in my local bookstore, and the cover's really cool for that one too. So I might end up reading that one too. But yeah, I'd be really interested to see if this author does something bigger, longer, like still with the cosmic theme. I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I definitely think this could have benefited from, an extra 50 pages or something, depending on what she focused on. If it was another 50 pages of dad and stuff, like, don't want that.
My dad was so mean. Oh my gosh, you guys. Andy is like, yeah, it's like ibuprofen. And we're just like, what is that? Yeah, her cell phone light they called a torch. There were no open flames.
Hey, sorry. She said torch. It's not my fault.
Listen, we take things, we're booktubers. When we read something, we're going to just see it and take it at face value. Yeah, I wouldn't have known, honestly, if it wasn't for me reading so many Darcy Coates books, because hers are Australian, but they're like the same language or familiar language.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody has any, last thoughts, or, I did have one more thing. If you guys know anything like similar, other cosmic and folk horror recs, let us know. I'm always looking for any recs, but especially cosmic horror recs, because I haven't read a ton of them recently. I think the last one I read was Guest by Keelan Patrick Burke, and it's like, that was kind of a fun one. It's like a wintry setting. It's a novella. I think it's on Scrib too, and it's like about a hotel about to close down, but old people show up, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Mm.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, okay. I think I was reading it at the dentist. So, but yeah, if you guys have anything else to say, just let us know before we go. Yeah, I guess my other cosmic rec would be Guest by Keelan Patrick Burke. Keelan Patrick Burke has a lot of cosmic folk horror books out there.
I didn't know that, and I haven't read anything from him, so I'm gonna have to start picking up some of his stuff. I feel like when I read cosmic, like I typically stick with like Haley Piper or like John Langan or like people who I know write cosmic. Or if I just like randomly come across this and I get your recs all the time. But
you read It Rides a Pale Horse.
Oh yeah, that was a
That's
really good one.
cosmic.
Although I will say that like I don't know that his writing works for everyone. It is a little bit like I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit chaotic and like lengthy and a little bit pretentious writing. But I really like that. I like he always writes about like, or not always, but in that one, they're artists and they kind of talk pretentiously and I don't know. I really liked it, but it's like super bonkers. So if you like more like subtle cosmic, I wouldn't go for it, but it gets really wild and stuff. It's a good one though. And I think they just came out with an audiobook. When I read it, there was no audio. Now there's an audio. So
Oh, good.
I'm interested if it's any good. I haven't listened to it.
Cool. I was going to ask you about another book. Sister Maiden.
Oh yeah. I love that one so much. It's so good.
Would you say that one is like unhinged good for her?
Yes, but
okay.
I don't know. There's 3 different main characters, and one of them is kind of unhinged, but also I don't know. I don't know if like she doesn't act like the greatest person, I don't think. But it is very unhinged. It is very weird and but very fast paced and I loved it a lot. It's very like women centric and a bit queer and yeah, it has a lot of cool elements. It does end on like a almost like a cliffhanger. So I'm like, are we getting a book 2? Like I need a book 2 after that. But so the ending is a little bit unsatisfying, but overall I thought the book was really good. I think you'd like it. It's fun.
Yeah, because I think I'm gonna read that. I might try to read it for my unhinged women.
Yeah, there's definitely an unhinged character in it.
Where was I? Oh yeah, thanks for joining, Kristen. So glad you read it. Just recently got recommended a book called Heavy Oceans.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
By Taylor. Heavy Oceans.
It's a newer book. It's a novella too. I think I bought it already. I haven't read it yet though. Did I buy it already? Oh yeah, it's this one here. I don't know if you can see that middle one.
Oh, okay. I feel like I have seen that around. Yeah. I think I've seen like good things about it too.
I think so. I think that was one that Sid read and reviewed. I think she did a full book review on that one, like a video on it. I haven't read it yet though, but it looks good.
I really enjoyed The Vessel by Adam Neville for folk vibes. It's also British and written with a dialect, which I loved. I read The Vessel. Yeah, that's a fun one. That one is, yeah, it is very it is very cinematic, I would say. It has it's like an evil grandma situation, kind of. It has the covers of the old woman.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't read it.
Amy, did you end up reading or finishing The Dead Ride the Train?
No, I haven't picked it back up yet. I still want to finish it though, but that one's a cosmic one too. But it's more, at least from like the first 20% that I read, it's more of like a actiony, like, I don't know, because like people in the world, it's an urban setting, but people in the world don't know that there's these creatures, but it's like about this woman who there's creatures and she goes and kills creatures for this big corporation. But it is cosmic, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. I've only read 20%, but I definitely want to finish it.
Did you ever read The City That We Became by N.K. Jemisin?
No, I didn't get to that one either.
It has like a really neon cover. It has like the tentacles coming out of the from the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. I read that one in my fantasy when I was a fantasy person, and I really liked it because I was like, oh man, this is like crazy.
Isn't that part of the series? Did you read any more in the series or just the first book?
I've only read the first book. I know there's a second one out, but it's like all of the bureaus of New York are like fighting to like not have what is it? It's like a corporation monster kind of like come in, but it's very like Lovecraftian, and it has a lot of social commentary and stuff in it. And I was like, what is it? Because I think I went from reading Fifth Season or the Broken Earth trilogy to that book, and I was like, whoa, this is like so different.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really fun. Wilding Hall by Elizabeth Hand is really good folk horror. Oh, I read the Haunting of Hill House book by Elizabeth Hand, and I liked it. It was very weird though. Wilding Hall is also set in Britain. Sounds like Men in Black.
Yeah, it did kind of read like Men in Black, but the main character is like a party girl. So there's that difference, but it does kind of have that like actiony sort of thing like Men in Black.
I'll have to check out that one too. I always see it at my local library, so I'll have to just pick it up one day. Okay, well, thanks again for everybody who tuned in for the Reaper Book Club. Just a reminder for next month. Alexi and I actually did set our dates for sprints and stuff. I believe our sprints off the top of my head will be happening February 27th, and the live show will be the 29th. So really close together. And it's another novella. So hopefully you guys will be joining for that one as well. And I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.
Bye.